Hey YouTubers and Pokemon fans, welcome back to the Pokemaster Slayer. And today I have a very super I have the Flash deck. I call this the Flash deck because it's so fast. I'm about to get into it. It's of course, as you can see from the title, it's a Lapras GX. It's Lapras Metagross. And I'm about to show y'all how it works. So let's get straight into it. And this deck is very weird. I run 2 copies of Lapras GX with Collect for 1 water energy, draw 3 cards, and then for 3 water energy, Blizzard Burn does 160 damage, but Lapras can't attack you very following next turn. So once you do the 160, you better be like, oh, I have to recharge. I can't do anything. Passes out. But then its GX attack for 2 water and a colorless Ice Beam GX does 100 damage, and your opponent's Pokemon is now paralyzed. But also there's a problem now because since the escape board is now in the meta, honestly Ice Beam GX is kind of risky now, but it's still good and it has 2 retreat costs. I'm going to show y'all how this deck works. The main attack you're only going to be using is Collect, but if needed, you'll use either one of these attacks. And that'll be very weird, but Collect is the main idea. And yes, we metagross. I run 3 copies of this metagross, and it has a nice ability. It's basically an ability, but it's an ancient trait because it's from Ancient Origins. This is an expanded deck, but I don't really play this one with expanded cards that much because it kind of sucks whenever it doesn't suck unless you know what you're doing. And Q double to where you can have up to 2 tool cards attached, but the only problem is I don't run that many tools. Sad. Okay, but for basically DCE, Machine Gun Stomp does 20 more does 20 plus. This attack does 10 more damage for each card in your hand. That's where Collect comes in handy, because whenever you use Collect, you're basically adding 30 damage, but since you use Collect, you draw 3 cards. Then you're following next turn, you draw another card. Technically, you're drawing 4 cards in one go with Collect. So that's 40 plus damage. So that's 60 damage instantly. And basically, you're going to be collecting as much as possible. You're expecting this to get knocked out, let your opponent have the 2 prize lead. But then once it's over, or if it takes too long, if your opponent's not knocking you out, just move in, get that knockout. And for 2 Steel Energies, which we can't use Guard Press at all, but if you want to know, Guard Press for 2 metal and a colorless, 2 DC. Guard Press does 80 damage during your opponent's next turn. Any damage done to this Pokemon is reduced by 20. That's good with the Q double trait. If you're going against like certain decks, you run 4 copies of Hard Charm and you attach 2, or you run 4 copies of Assault Vest where it reduces 40 damage. If your opponent has a special energy attached and Hard Charm reduces 20, and that'll be good with Guard Press if you're doing a Guard Press deck. But yeah, 3 copies, and then I run 1 copy of the other Ancient Origins Metagross, where with the ability Magnetic Warp. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. If you do, your opponent also switches one of his active with his bench. So making it to where both you and your opponent can have like fair game, but it makes the game more interesting whenever you use it. And then also another attack we can't use for 2 metal and a DCE, Iron Cannon does 80 plus. You may discard all metal energies attached to this Pokemon and do 80 more damage. So if you're doing Guard Press, Iron Cannon deck, just Iron Cannon would be a better version because since it's like 160 with the Choice Band, that's 190. And then also there's that one Pokemon that increases metal Pokemon's attacks by 10 damage. So you can make a Metagross deck, which I might be making later on. Spoiler. Or I might be making a Solgaleo, maybe. I'm just giving little hints. Y'all might get the point, but it has 4 retreat costs. Every single Metagross has 4 retreat costs, and that's a lot. And this Magnetic Warp helps get past that. So yeah, run 1 copy. Then run, of course, 1 copy of Matang, and then 4 copies of Dumbbell. Then also, since this is also meant to be a cheap deck, like cheap, but if you buy theme decks, you already know what this is. Run 4 copies of Beware with the ability Rake It In. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may draw 3 cards. So an extra 30 damage with an ability. And we have ways to where we can play this thing 8 times, even 10 times if needed. And then for a DCE and a colorless, Dangerous Blow does 60 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic, it does 60 more. So basically, if you're going against the basic deck, 120 damage, that's not bad. And plus, it's very good attacker as well. So with the draw speed and with the damage, it's good. And it has 2 retreat costs. Really nice. And then if we have 4 copies of that, we run 4 copies of Stuffle. So we're going to evolve into them. And that's our Pokemon. Into supporters. Our supporter line is very short. So let's get into it. We run 4 copies of How or Tierno. I was thinking about just mixing of both. Just do 2 Tierno, 2 How. Because the rule is, since they do the exact same thing, you can't run 8. You can't run 4 How and 4 Tierno. You only run 4 of either or. And How makes it to where you can draw 3 cards. I'm pretty sure everyone has this. If not, you I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. You just started. And then we run 2 copies of Acerola to put a Pokemon that has any damage counters on it and all cards attached to it and back into your hand. You could run AZ also, because Acerola is kind of a iffy one. Acerola is just there for any Pokemon that's damaged. But AZ would be a better choice. You could do 1 AZ, 1 Acerola, or you could do both AZ. I'm just telling you. Because I couldn't find my AZs, so I was kind of sad. But I've been playing this deck with just Acerolas. But Acerolas won me game. But AZ would be a better choice because it's immediate. And it could work with the Bewares. Now I run 2 copies. 2 copies of Guzma. Just kidding. I run 2 copies of Lysander. Y'all can't give me hate. Because since it's expanded format, they're Lysanders. If you want them to be, you could decide if they're Guzmas. And still give me hate. But they're not. So can't give me hate. You see? Lysanders. Not says Guzma. Lysanders. Run 2 copies. And then I run 1 copy of Delinquent. Because we don't play stadium cards in this deck. And we don't want our opponent to keep their stadiums. So might as well make it to where if you're speed drawing, you might as well speed them up too. By discarding their cards instead. So you play, if your opponent has you discard any stadium card in play. If you do, your opponent discards 3 cards from their hand. And if they only have 3 cards in their hand, they're going to be like, dang! They're going to be freaking out, and they're going to be so mad, they're going to be trying to go Super Saiyan 4 on you. And yeah, Delinquent. And that's the end of our supporter line. 9 supporters. On to our items. Whew, man, here we go. 4 copies of Rare Candy so we can get into our Magma Zones. Yeah, Magma Zone. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. 4 copies of Roller Skates. Roller Skates is still in a standard format because it was reprinted in Generations. But Roller Skate, you flip a coin, if heads, draw 3 cards. And it's good because you draw into this, this card just stalking you for some reason. You can't never avoid drawing this card. It's so weird. And then I run 4 copies of De-Evolution Spray to where we could de-evolve any of our Pokemon if needed. And then we put it back into our hand. And this is meant for Beware. But you can't re-evolve that Pokemon this turn. So that's the reason why the turn you evolve Beware, you want to get these cards out and just unevolve it. That's a good thing because you could just spam. Okay, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But yeah, De-Evolution Spray, get that Beware back into your hand and just replay it. You're following next turn so you can get 3 more cards. Puzzle of Time. Now, this card, it's quite pricey. For 4 copies, you could luckily find it for $13. It's between $11 and $15. And for the price of 4 copies. And Puzzle Time, you may play 2 puzzle times at cards at once, if needed. If you play just one, if you play 1 card, 1 puzzle at a time, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order, which we'll never do. If needed, then I don't know what's happening in your life, man. And then if you play 2, put 2 cards from your discard pile back into your hand. This is how you could replay multiple cards if needed. And it's so good in this deck because you draw all 4 of them, literally. And then you could get up to 4 of any cards you want back into your deck or back into your hand. So it's really sweet. And yeah, Puzzle Time. It's a great overpowered card that everyone should play. Now to our 1-ups, we run 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher. choose one. You pick either or. Put a Pokemon from your discard pile back into your hand, or shuffle 3 Pokemon from your discard pile back into your deck. Most of the time we're using Rescue Stretcher for this top one, but if they knock out a whole line, then you're going to be using shuffle 3. And then we run 1 copy of Switch, so we can switch our active with one of our bench. And then 1 copy of Pal Pad. I would like to run 2, but I only had room for 1. And this one can be played more than once because of the puzzle time. I've played it up to 2 times per game. Most of the time, I don't even play it all the time. I only play it once because it's mainly to get back Lysanders or How if needed, or Acerolas, or AZs. So yeah. Now, onto energy count. It's very short. Run 4 copies of DCE, and we run 6 copies of water energies. And yeah, that's the deck profile. And guys, thank you for all your love and support on these videos. And hopefully we'll be doing more openings soon, because I'm going to be doing an opening sooner or later within 2-3 weeks. But I'm going to be posting decks every single day. I'll be doing my best to post decks every single day. Sometimes I get a little lazy, but yeah, I have to go through all my deck profiles. And this is the Pokemaster Slayer signing off. Yeah.